Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Divorce Unplugged podcast. I am your co-host, Nicole Cox, and you might know me on socials as the Family Law Liaison.
Hey everybody, Keegan Burke. You may recognize me as Divorceology on the socials. My disclaimer, by the way, Happy New Year to those if you haven't listened to the last episode. But not a lawyer, not lawyering, not legal advice, not your lawyer, and you should always get legal advice. We are here to talk all things tactics and strategy around divorce, custody, and separation.
Nice, that was a lot. And my disclaimer is I am an attorney. I am not yours. I am not lawyering right now, and this is not legal advice.
Thank you. Today we are talking New Year, maybe taking a look at co-parenting strategies for the high conflict scenario. What are some things that you can and should do? How do you go about it? What's important? And so we're going to focus on that pretty heavily today. I think there are lots of people who probably fall into this category of high conflict. But nevertheless, whether you are defined as that or not, there are things that you can do to reduce conflict and make things a little bit easier in your situation with children specifically. So first and foremost, so we know, right, there are two primary types of co-parenting. One is your traditional co-parenting. It is, joint work, collaborative. You are trying to have a unified system between the households, even though it's separate. Same rules apply to both households. There's lots of communication. Generally lands, this is what the courts want to see is good co-parenting, right? Facilitation of the other party.
Keeping things consistent.
Yes.
So it's consistent in the best interest of the children in both homes.
But for those that have high conflict, there's always going to be a problem. Maybe the kids are getting involved in it. You should probably think about stopping that, right? And enforcing or applying what they call parallel parenting. And so by definition, really that is exactly, it's exactly what it says. In one household, there's a set of rules. Let's say my house, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And in the other house, they're going to do A, B, and C. And I have no say, don't care. I remove myself from that equation, and we operate completely independent from one another. That's parallel parenting. Now, the idea there is you're reducing the interaction. You're reducing one side trying to control the other, probably reducing communications to, requirements only. Communications are generally limited to text, email, or some parenting portal, right? And so each parent is really the primary parent during the time in which they have the kid. So they make the decisions while they have them, and you make the decisions when you have them, and that's that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting way to go. I do think it definitely cuts down on quite a bit of disputes and going back and forth. I think it becomes a little bit difficult when you have one parent that has 100% legal decision making and another that doesn't. Then I think it becomes very difficult to do parallel parenting.
Yeah, I think, yes, totally. And I think if there's a joint custody scenario, parallel parenting is where it makes sense, right? And here's the thing too. I would probably even say to anybody, the goal is to try to get to a co-parenting scenario, right? So if you have to start parallel parenting and, open the door to, some level of collaboration, that doesn't hurt anything if it's to the benefit of the children. But just remember that, sometimes you need to reset, and you need to back off, and you need to do that. Sometimes it's okay to just stay that way permanently. It does not remove any joint legal requirements, right? So parallel parenting does not eliminate the process of legal decision making if there's a joint element. But generally speaking, the notion is, your rules are your rules and their rules are their rules, and you don't overstep the boundaries of either side.
Yeah, I can tell you honestly, for my clients, that's very difficult. And it's very anxiety provoking.
Sure. And I would, I can imagine, there are plenty of people who have, I don't want to say control issues, but if you have control issues, right, you want to be in control. Parallel parenting is a different beast. It is, you have to release yourself from that whole mechanism of, I need to have a say, I need to be involved, I need to know everything that's going on.
I do think there's other factors involved, which could be the age of the children as well.
100%. Yes. and or special needs of the children, whatever it
Right.
might be, right?
Right.
Again, I think that we use this all the time. Applying logic and accountability makes for a simple conversation, right? I can try to collaborate or I can try to communicate. If the other side doesn't want to do it, so be it.
Mm.
But that takes me to the next point, which is this, and we've talked about this a bunch, especially through the holidays, and that is defaulting to your court order.
Yes. Always default to the court order.
Always default to the court order. You are not required to negotiate real time or make adjustments to it. And I would even argue in a high conflict scenario for at least a period of time, stick to it, right? Like it's there, it's trying to establish boundaries and a pathway forward. And if in the future you need to make some adjustments or be a little bit more flexible, so be it. I'm a big advocate for that. But
Also, a judge wants to see that you can follow the court order.
exactly right. They do want to see that. And I think it makes it easy too when you have one side consistently making changes, right? It's very hard to work around parenting schedules or sports or whatever it might be if you're consistently getting hit with requests, right? Switch this weekend or switch this week or I'm
Right.
going to travel here or there. That also goes to the whole point of make sure your court order is unambiguous. You
Oh,
dot
perfect.
I's, cross T's.
Perfect point, because I have situations with clients where you have to file motions to ask the judge for clarification, a motion
Mhm.
for reclarification. We don't understand what you're saying.
Right. So eliminating any of those ambiguities is a really big one. Communication when you're in a high conflict scenario, we talk about it all the time, right? It's evidence. Communicate like a pro.
Right.
Not an X, right? Remove emotion. Be brief, informational only.
Clear,
Um,
concise, stick to the needs and development of the children. That's the 110th time I've said it on our
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. I can't tell you. It's like I've seen orders where it's like you cannot do X, Y, or Z, and the comms still come through doing X, Y, or
All
Z.
right.
Now, right, is the person in contempt or are they bending the rules and is it annoying? Yes. Is it something you're going to do anything about? No. Control yourself, follow the order, follow the rules, be neutral, forward focus, informational, and stick to the things that are going to matter going forward, right?
Right.
Remember, every message is evidence.
Oh, yes.
Communicate accordingly.
Definitely do not overreact or react.
What is something that you see frequently when there are children going between households that parents do that they shouldn't with the kids?
Oh, putting children in the middle of a situation, like ask your dad if it's okay that I pick you up an hour early tomorrow, or tell your dad that this is, blank,
Yeah.
blank. Any kind of putting children in the middle and making them responsible for communication between two parents on each side is a big no no.
Yes, 100%. And now kids will start to get to an age where they have requests or things that they want that's going to require the other party to participate in that decision or, planning. In that case, you don't give them the answer and send them back to communicate this issue with the other side, right? It's something where you take it and you are the adult. You go communicate with the other party. Hey,
Mhm.
I have this request. We need to coordinate it. Communicate effectively,
Right.
and just move forward, right? But it's never letting the children be the messenger of anything in
No,
your case,
they need
ever.
to live like children and have peace.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. And then I think the other part too is, prioritizing predictability over perfection. So, what do I mean by that is your children in even a perfect co-parenting environment have transitions from one house to the next, right? No
Right.
matter how much you try to keep them similar in a perfect world, it's it's a different experience. And so having an environment where it's, you know, simple and it's expected and you're doing similar things and they know what to expect makes it easier on the kids to work through the process of transition between the homes, right?
And also for parents just to be aware that that the children do need what we sometimes call a bit of a detox period to have some, like, let down time from one house to the other and sort of regroup.
100%. And I actually want to hit on that. That's a great point. I say it all the time to folks. Even in a perfect co-parenting environment, right? The kids have to process that changeover, and they may not behave the way you're used to them behaving. They may be reactive, they may be emotional, they may be tired, they
Right,
may misbehave. All of those things are kind of indicative of that transition. It's not that they are, they hate the other side. It's not that they are unhappy with the other side. It's not that they're unhappy with you. That's them processing going from one to the next,
right,
right? And so your goal is to let that kind of flow, and you're not going to over scold them. You're not going to interrogate them. You're just going to let them be them and understand that for the first bit of time, and I always say 24 hours,
yes,
let them work through the process, and then you get into whatever routine you're in, and or have a routine to help them kind of get into a process with you.
right.
But understand that it's going to be chaotic, probably an overstatement, but it won't be normal for a little bit of time.
Right, exactly. And it also, again, depends on the age of the child,
Hmm.
etcetera. Mhm.
Yep. What else?
Well, we've discussed, definitely shielding the children from adult logistics. We talked about that because they deserve the peace and keep the stability. Stay stable, don't overreact because the courts will look at the person that's overreacting and doesn't have stability and consistency for the children. And that's a way to lose parenting time for sure.
Yeah. And I use this term all the time. Pick the hill you're going to die on,
I
right?
love that. Hmm.
Is it, if it doesn't affect safety, health, schedule, child's well-being, let it go. Let it go.
I love that you use that term because I do with my clients as well. I'm like, is this the hill that you really want to die on today? Is it?
Yep.
Is it the hill we're going to die on? Because I don't think it is.
That's
So,
right.
yeah. So let's breathe. And that's where you need a coach, again, or a strategist, so that they can, help in this determining whether it's a good idea to push the issue or not.
Yeah. Same thing comes with communication and provocation, right? If you're in a high conflict situation, the other side is going to do things to either stay connected, try to stay involved, try to be, controlling, create conflict or complexity that is unnecessary. A coach, you can kind of run these scenarios by, these
Right.
intraday comms by, hey, do I need to respond to this? Do I not?
Right.
Listen, it's a hard thing to decide. How soon do I need to respond? How aggressively or harshly do I need to respond?
I think that's a great point. And my clients ask me all the time, well, so and so, the other party didn't respond. Well, my answer is, was it a reasonable amount of time?
Hmm.
And what is the subject or the issue?
Hmm.
Again, we've talked about this. We use this as an example. I mean, it could be diapers, haircuts, you know, things that aren't specific, like real emergencies that I think maybe even a week, especially if somebody has the children, could be a reasonable amount of time. Do I think 2 or 3 weeks? I think it's getting a little bit unreasonable. And then if there's an emergency situation, emergent or very important, I think 24 to 48 hours is reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to land on 24 hours for your general things that require response.
Yeah,
And arguably, if it doesn't need to be responded to in 24 hours, doesn't need to be responded to at all,
right.
right? So it's a good thing, and every situation's different, right? There are a million scenarios.
I do think different courts look at it in different
Right.
states. I know for sure an Arizona court would say 48 hours is reasonable.
Yep, totally. I think California probably lands in the same
Mhm.
consideration. And then this, and we actually talked about this last episode. Keep your circle tight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have a person that, whenever we go somewhere, he's going through a really tough scenario. He wants to talk about his divorce and his battle and his challenges with anybody and everybody. It's like your typical victim mentality. Nobody wants to talk about your divorce.
No.
Nobody wants to hear about your problems. Divorce is ugly for a lot of people. I also think that, there are times where you might think somebody's a friendly and they're a foe. So, keep your circle tight. I always say button down the hatches. You need to have a support outlet or group. But again, a coach is going to be the one that's going to be able to give you that neutral, very finite guidance on how and what to do when you need to do it.
Agreed. Definitely get yourself a coach. If you don't have a coach, then at least try and seek some counseling or a therapist.
Yeah, for sure. Um, let's see. It sort of falls into it, but emotional regulation. I think it's more preparation and practice. Divorce is stressful. Custody battles are stressful. Co-parenting, whether you're parallel or co-parenting, is stressful. It's a new paradigm. I always have said, if it's exchanges or communications, it's put the blinders on, right? Your sole focus in really high intensity moments is the kids. You
Right.
protect the kids from at all costs. You're aware of your surroundings, but you're not engaging in any of the conflict that is very often comes up. We see it on social medias all the time, right? It's like, this person narrating a video or a parent arguing or
Right.
saying, not putting a kid down. Well, all kinds of scenarios. Calm, collective, anticipating, chaos, and really taking a deep breath. It's taxing, it's hard, but you have to do it.
And I agree with you. The other thing too is I know a lot of my clients have a little bit of PTSD from seeing an email or a text message from the other party. So
Mhm.
sometimes my advice is just put your phone down, step away from the computer, and by all means, do not respond right away. Do not
Yeah,
react. Take a walk, do some breath work, give it 5 minutes, give it 10 minutes, but then you can respond, not react.
I think there's a saying, find Jesus.
However
um,
you choose to do that. Yes.
yeah, exactly. And then I think in closing, right, it's lots of people get caught up in trying to impact things that they don't actually control. So I would say my closing remarks are focus on what you can control,
Right,
right? Your reactions, your household, your documentation. Um, and really that's it, right? Be accountable for your behavior. Apply logic as often as possible. I know sometimes that's hard, but you have to do it. That's the only way you're going to see success, high conflict or not. And then there is light at the end of the tunnel, right?
there really
Like
is.
it's one day at a time if it has to be that way. The nice part about, court systems and family law and custody is it evolves, right? Kids
Right.
change, kids age, scenarios change. Just be consistent, be present, and stay your course, but make sure you have it planned.
I like it. Well, you covered many things. I think also because this is such a stressful time, in order to keep yourself regulated, to self-regulate, you should do some type of self-care, focus on maybe taking walks, do breathing exercises, anything that you can like relieve your stress because it is stressful and you do have to learn how to manage your emotions. So I think that's actually some really good advice as well.
Yeah. So, um, good luck to everybody out there dealing with it in this new year. Recalibrate, see what you can do to improve your situation. Follow these steps, they're important.
Right. And do know, like we said, it doesn't last forever. This too shall pass.
Yes, good point. Like, listen, subscribe, and until next time, thank you to everybody listening.
See you guys soon.